I loved Mr. Peabody and Sherman so much that I actually plan on going and watching the original cartoons from, I think, the late 50s, early 60s. This is an animation that's been on my list for a while, never got round to it for no particular reason, but it was definitely worth the wait. This was actually released in 2014, if you can believe that. It's directed by Rob Minkoff, written by Robert Ben Garant, Craig Wright, and Jay Ward. And the voice cast includes Ty Burrell as Mr. Peabody and Max Charles as Sherman. And this focuses on a dog who has adopted a boy, that is Mr. Peabody, who has adopted Sherman. And together they travel in time. They go back in time, and that all seems very well. They've got a great setup. But one day at school, a girl bullies Sherman. It's a girl called Penny, voiced by Ariel Winter. And there's a threat that Sherman might be taken away from Mr. Peabody because of something that Sherman does. And I don't want to spoil it too much. I don't want to go into too much detail. So Mr. Peabody invites Penny and her family over for a dinner to try and, sort things out, to straighten out this bullying situation. And while there, Penny kind of finds out about the time-traveling machine, which they called the WABAC. And Penny, Sherman, and Mr. Peabody end up traveling through time to various different points in history. I don't want to go into too much detail about the different locations they go to because I don't want to spoil it. For me, that was part of the fun of wondering where they'd end up next. But I will say that they cover quite a wide breadth of history and a wide location as well. It's not just, traveling back in time through American history because it's set in America. The present day is in America. But they actually travel all over the world and to many different time periods. There are a lot of well-known historical figures in this as well. It is exceptionally educational, and that is something that I love. I'm a big fan of history. I love the concept of time travel. I'm definitely one of those people who, if I had a time machine, I'd go back rather than forward, although I would also go into the future at some point. But there are many problems, in fact, with travelling through time, and problems that they encounter not just with the historical situations, because obviously a lot of history was quite dangerous, but also problems with the machine itself, and there's a threat to their safety and their ability to get home safely without affecting the timeline at all. And of course, the big question above all that is, what's going to be the outcome with Sherman? Will he be taken away from Mr. Peabody? Will Penny stop bullying him? And I won't answer any of those questions, but what I will say is the narrative is beautiful. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. There's the bullying, there's the problems with the time machine, the problems with the various historical situations that they find themselves in. Will he be taken away? There's a lot. There's a lot of substance to this narrative, but it's done in a way that's so effective it never feels like we're being overwhelmed with information. We only ever really focus on one, maybe two problems at any one time. And I feel like the rate of resolution is really good. Everything feels like it's believable. Nothing feels forced. Very educational. Great mix of historical figures and locations and time periods. Beautifully animated. The animation is just absolutely stunning. I love the characters of Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I think they're brilliant. That's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to watching the original cartoons. And am I right in saying there's a TV series that came out after this as well? I might check that out as well. Because I love history, I love animation. It just combines everything for me so beautifully. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're a fan of animations and you're a fan of history and you haven't seen it, I'd say make it the next one you watch, the next film you watch. It's beautiful. It's incredible. There are a lot of heartfelt messages in there about this relationship between a father and his adopted son, about bullying, of course, about standing up for what's right, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't really know much about it before I watched it. I read a tiny description, non-spoiler description, before watching it and went, well, this sounds amazing. And I'm really pleased to say it thoroughly delivered. Mr. Peabody and Sherman, for me, is pretty perfect.